It is 6 minutes past 2. Helen with you. I'm really glad you're here. We've got lots to talk about, and I feel like you tuning in is just a really good decision, especially this half hour, because we're tackling a very real subject, which is stress. So you listening shows to me that you are determined to make some differences. You're determined to learn from some amazing people and have some fun along the way. And maybe you're tuning in because you like a bit of Ricky Martin, and that's okay too. Have a listen to this song. If you can tell me what it's called, you could be going to see him in his sellout show at the Coca-Cola Arena.
We're going round the world in a day. Don't say no, no, shaking my way.
Can you finish the lyric? If you can, you're in the draw to win a pair of tickets to go to the Coca-Cola Arena on Saturday, December the 14th to see the one and only Ricky Martin. 4001 with that song name and your name, or you can use the app or the WhatsApp too. I'll be picking a winner just before 4. Happy World Kindness Day, one and all. The conversation around wellbeing, I think, has never felt more urgent. In fact, a recent study by Cigna Healthcare reveals a 17-point drop in mental wellbeing scores in the UAE, standing at just 57%. What does that mean? And what can we do about it? Magda Snowden is in the studio, a senior nurse executive turned mental agility expert, a team's transformation coach, and a mental first aider who is witnessing this firsthand. Magda, I'm so glad you're here. As I said, you're fair. I've cried yesterday and I've cried today. So when we think about mental well-being, I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. Let's look at that study. What do those numbers mean? A 17-point drop in mental well-being in the UAE. What's going on?
Good afternoon, Helen, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for listening. It's a very exciting conversation to talk about well-being, not so much to talk about stress. So the recent Cigna study gives us a context. I always like to see the numbers as what is the situation, what is the underlying cause, and what can we do about it? For me, is the opportunity, because there is a lot of opportunities how we can improve the scores.
So your eyes light up when hearing those numbers, whereas I just think about all the conversations I've had over the last few weeks with friends and people sitting in that seat right now, and when I go, how are you? They go, I'm so stressed. I'm so overwhelmed. I feel like I'm being pulled in 10 different directions. I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about finances. You know, festive season's coming up. My kids are anxious. Whereas you go, okay, I hear that, but where are the opportunities? Before we start talking solutions, would you mind maybe explaining a little bit about why you think we're seeing this sharp decline? What factors are driving it?
So I came from UK around 6 years ago. And obviously I have the cultural intelligence, let's say, background to appreciate how situation differs from country to country. So if we're looking at the UAE, we live in the most progressive country on earth. I dare to say that. The speed of innovation, the speed of transformation, progress, the abundance of technology, resources, information is here. And this is a positive. However, when I explain it to people, when I do coaching, training, mentoring, I almost say we did not upgrade our skills as humans to deal with the reality that we have created. How are we supposed to deal with the overwhelm, the positive overwhelm of information, resources, technology?
Because it makes me want to throw my phone in the sea and go and live in the woods somewhere. That's not the answer, I'm guessing, that you're providing.
It could be a short-term answer. If you are really at a breaking point,
I'm not.
throw your phone. However,
there are some steps between now and then. So, I mean, to my mind, we've been talking about the traffic a lot recently. I think these things can, and it sounds like a trivial thing. It's, to be in your car for maybe 20 minutes longer a day. It's not a trivial thing for an awful lot of people because that's family time that's being taken away from you. It's your body being in this, fight or flight state. Our nervous system's feeling completely shredded, coming home and feeling, already in a tense frame of mind. So where do you think emotional intelligence and I guess mental agility can help individuals? We can talk about organizations as well, but for people listening today, what can we do? What is actionable around our mental well-being to take some of those factors you've just been explaining into account?
Beautiful question. And I always advise, let's start with the definitions, because we hear a lot people saying, I am stressed, I am busy, I am stressed, I am busy, I'm stressed, I am busy. And I had several situations, coaching senior nurse leaders in organizations. They come to the huddle and they say, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed. Every single day is the same conversation. When I ask for the definition, silence. Then I ask for the personal explanation of this stress definition, and people really need to sit down, calm down, and start digging deep inside. What is happening? The more we understand the nuances, the more our brain can find the solution. So let's say I am overwhelmed with patient load, with capacity, I don't have resources, we had 2 incidences, complaints are piling up. The more you can start escalating. You can ask for help, you can ask your boss, you can ask your colleague, you can start putting certain solutions. But if you continue saying, I am busy, unfortunately, you are going to stay in that cycle of busy or stressed.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? It's, we become what we believe, which is this idea of, and also, I dare say, there's also this idea of kind of fetishizing busyness. Because when we say we're busy and we're being pulled in 10 different directions, not that we're saying it specifically, but the underlying meaning for an awful lot of people is, I am popular, I am in demand, I am important. But flipping it and actually, so I had a bit of a meltdown this morning. I said to my husband, I haven't even got time to get the car cleaned. Like, I'm kind of giving out about how much I've got on right now. And I was like, actually, I'm lucky enough to enjoy what I do. I'm lucky enough to for there being lots of opportunities. And we've got this amazing thing called Cafu. So I'm going to get that sorted out tonight. So framing our busyness and our kind of so-called stress, that's important?
Defining, reframing, being really careful about the language that we are using, because it is also contagious. I am busy, my colleague is busy, the whole department is gonna start being busy, and we're just running around being busy. I'm not against it, as long as you know what you mean by this. You are not internally stressed and just running in that cycle and struggling to ask for help. It's okay, be busy, if it's a positive meaning for you. But if it's causing you chronic stress and you might go for burnout at some point later on, you need to start reframing.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned burnout, because we're seeing record numbers of people, certainly out of the UK, signed off work, long-term sickness and stress and burnout being really, big contributing factors to that. Magda Stoden's in the studio. She's a mental agility and leadership coach. And we're looking at this Cigna healthcare study that's talking about a 17-point drop in mental well-being scores in the UAE. But interestingly, despite that dropping, you're seeing vitality scores that are still high. What does that tell us about resilience versus sustained mental health, Magda?
So again, it's a good news that vitality scores are high. We need to really start appreciating all the numbers on the continuum, not just looking at the one negative and then panicking. With regards to resilience, is our long-term strategy. How am I going to learn from all the setbacks, from even the stressful situations? How am I going to build my own resilience strategy to help me maintain, improve the well-being in the long run?
We're going to talk a little bit more about us as individuals. If you are feeling at that point, stressed, busy, overwhelmed, what works for you? How are you feeling today? Let me know on 4001. And I'm keen to zoom out a little bit, the role of organisations in equipping employees with the human skills, the emotional intelligence to counteract burnout. You can reach us as ever anonymously if you prefer. We're heading over now. We're going to catch up with Jen and see what's happening on our roads at 2:15.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
With Yas Island Abu Dhabi. Stay at iconic hotels and play at record-breaking theme parks. Book now on yasisland.com.
Jen, what do we need to know?
The roads are as busy as the people, I think.
Very.
Particularly Sharjah into Dubai at the moment. Southbound on the 311 looking particularly bad, although it is kind of pretty busy in both directions on Sheikh Zayed Road and the 311, all the way between the airport and pretty much the Ajman border. Patchy. On the Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai, we've got traffic heading southbound from Oud Metha all the way back down towards more or less the Trade Centre downtown exit, and in the opposite direction it's looking slightly better, patchy more or less the length of the city on the Sheikh Zayed Road. Hessa Street looking particularly bad right now, both sides of the Al Khail junction as you head towards the coast, and Sakim Street busy in both directions. Other than that, I'm not seeing an awful lot to report. If I've missed anything, please do let us know though. 4001 on the text.
Thank you.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic.
Do you know what? Let's put a number on it. Tell me, out of 10, how stressed are you today? We're going to give you some strategies strategies to get that score down next.
More of Afternoons with Helen Farmer is coming up next.
On the UAE's #1 talk radio.